Welcome back, folks. It is our final episode of Nightmare on Park Avenue. We're building a Halloween themed little fun fair, low budget park for Wix's HalloWikz contest. And if this is the first time you're joining, welcome. If you're coming back, last time we built some flat rides, and we're on to the main attraction, which is 2 roller coasters. Staple of any traveling fun fair is of course, wild mouse. So I built this little design right in the middle of the park. If you remember, I'm not using any TMTK, but I'm also not changing any of the pathing of the park. Yeah, so I'm not changing any of the pathing of the park. So this was only the kind of logical space where a kind of big sized traveling roller coaster could fit. And what better ride than a spinning wild mouse? It's a slightly different design than what you see in most parks, but you can check out the layout a little later in this episode. Like all the other queues in this park, I'm using basic wooden paneling for the flooring, some crypt fences to give it some definition, and later on I'll copy over some of the existing assets that I created, like the little entrance sign that you see here, as well as some of the fun lit up fences that'll go around the border. Hope you all have been enjoying this series. It's been a blast to kind of go back and see how it was all built out. I know Wix has a spotlight of the park, and you should definitely check it out if you have the opportunity. But it's just fun to see how it all came together, and I'm really looking forward to the next project. Now, unlike a lot of the flat rides that we built in episodes 2 and 3, we needed to build a custom station here. And so I used the metal safety treading, and I just covered the whole thing because that's typically what you see in these fun fair parks, right? To make my life a little bit easier, I tried my best to copy over a lot of the work that I had already done. For example, on the left-hand side, copying that over to the right-hand side, and then copying over these larger pieces to cover the entire station. It was a little shortcut that I figured out along the way, and I found it really useful. I'm probably going to use this technique later on when I build another coaster. Now you might be wondering, that clearance looks off. It definitely is, and no, I don't go back and fix it. I didn't realize until watching this. Now, one of the things that you won't see me do on this episode is any sort of custom supporting. And that's mostly because I ran out of time, but we'll say it's the lore of the park being so low budget they couldn't afford coaster supports. However, I did go back recently and custom supported the entire thing using in-game pieces, some pillars, some wooden pieces. You'll see it all. I think it looks a lot nicer. And I'm going to put it up on the workshop as a blueprint. So if you're building a fun fair, or even if you just need to pop a little spinning wild mouse in your own park with pretty good capacity, please feel free to check it out. Give it a rating, or let me know what you think about it. I really want to hear from you. after covering the station in far too much metal treading, I fixed the exit path so it was a little bit more head-on, more straight, and this made it a whole lot easier to copy some of that same treading over to the exit path. I'm just trying to cover up all the in-game Planko bits as much as possible, just to give it a more realistic or somewhat realistic vibe. What are you all building in Planko? Why don't you drop a comment down below? Let me know what you're building. I want to hear about what's going on in your Planko life. If you're watching this when it comes out, it's towards the end of the year. Do you have any Planko plans for next year? Or maybe you're on a holiday break and you want to take advantage of the time off and build some fun stuff. Maybe it's realistic, maybe it's not, maybe it's a fun fair, right? Let me know. I'd love to hear from you all. Now with all the treading done, I use the thick wooden beams, or these might be the haunted house pillars, to cover up all the curbing. I think it makes this look a whole lot cleaner and really kind of sells the idea much better than leaving those in-game curbs there. I did the same thing on the haunted house at the front end of the park, so I just repurposed that strategy over here. And it's nice. If you take a look at the park, it all kind of feels like it was all built by one person. I mean, it was built by one person, but, you know, physically built by the same person. Alright, so we've covered the station with too much safety treading, and now we gotta build a little roof. I spent far too much time trying to figure out what the design of it would be when I eventually settled on a very simple angled sloped roof. Once again, reusing a lot of the same pieces, the wooden beams and pillars, and some of the wood flooring, panel flooring for the roof. Helps sell the idea that, once again, this was all built by one guy. With that done, I go ahead and add a little bit of safety netting. I use the in-game chain link fences, which turns out they're really good for this sort of thing. It looks fairly realistic, and in the case of this part, it looks fairly low budget, which works out really, really well. With the coaster done, it was time to add a little bit of theming to the path between the coaster and the Ferris wheel. This helps close off the space, but it also allowed me to put in a small restroom here. We've got some right across the way, so it made sense right in the middle of the park to put them pretty close together. That's not all though. On top of a roller coaster and a lovely set of restrooms, we're gonna go ahead and add a whole new flat ride, another new flat ride, and a roller coaster. After placing down the mini carousel, I pulled up a few rides that I had hidden much earlier on in the series, including this small Ghostbuster roller coaster that I thought was a perfect fit for a spooky park. And a staple of any low-budget park, Sizzler. I don't know if that's what you call it. In Roller Coaster Tycoon, it was the twist. So, Sizzler, twist, twisting Sizzler, whatever works for you. Using a lot of the same stalls that I created earlier in the park, game stalls and food stalls, I filled out the space a little bit better. And of course I had to add a few restrooms over here for the folks that say, hey, twist 1 is making me nauseous. Well, folks, we're just getting to the end of the series, just getting to the end of the build. Thanks so much for coming along the ride. I'm going to have some extended cinematics at the end of this video. Be sure to check them out so you can see how the park turned out, or check out the workshop link in the description below. Come back in just a few days and I'll upload some POVs of the roller coasters that I hope you enjoy. If you haven't already, consider subscribing to the account. I'm going to have a few builds coming up in the new year. And if you're not into that sort of thing, that's okay. Thanks for coming along the ride, folks. Bye.